Welcome to Session 9 of Marketing Step by Step, Naming Your Product or Service. Naming the ultimate leverage. Nowhere do you get so much bang for your buck than choosing a name for your business, your product, or your service. Nowhere do you get so much bang for your buck. So what do I mean by this? I mean that all of this work that we're doing to discover how human beings think, how their emotional systems work, how to get inside of their minds and their emotions, how to find their specific hot buttons and all those things that drive them to act, that trigger them to make decisions and take actions. We do all this work to understand our customer avatar. We try to learn the phrases and the words to use, the tone of voice, the sayings. But what's the word that you're going to use more than any other in the future in relationship to marketing your products and services? Well, just like with you, okay, your name is the word that's most meaningful to you, carries the most powerful emotional associations. The name of your product can carry the most power and get you the most bang for your buck, because it's the thing that's going to stand for all the rest. So choosing a good name for your business, your product, or your service is where you get really, really high leverage. And ultimately, I think that designing and architecting a great name for your business, a great name for your product, and a great name for your service is one of the highest forms of marketing. Create a name that's impossible for customers to forget. Okay, so don't focus on creating a name that's nice or that's easy to remember. Instead, focus on creating a name that's impossible to forget. So that's an interesting thing to say, right? Create a name that's impossible to forget. Well, why not just create something that's easy to remember? Memory, like many other processes that are going on inside of humans, is not a conscious process. Most of the things that we remember, we didn't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to remember this thing. Most of the things that we remember, we just somehow remembered, as if there's some mysterious process that selects out the things that are important that we should remember, many of which we don't want to remember, and gets rid of the things that it doesn't want to remember, many of which we really want to remember. Now, we don't have time to go all the way into the psychology of memory and kind of the neuroscience behind memory, but what I can tell you is that if you try to create something that's memorable, you're going to probably be focused on logic and cuteness and things that you like. Whereas when you focus on creating something that's impossible to forget, it's going to cause you to approach this like a marketing challenge that you're gonna work on until you get it. So don't create a name that's nice or easy to remember. Focus on creating one that's impossible to forget, that makes an impact, that has the customer say, I know what that means, and I'm not going to forget that. Or more specifically, makes their emotional system and their brain say that. The mind remembers name by sound, not by sight. This is a really important insight that I've gotten from Jack Trout, one of the co-authors of Positioning, and also from Roy Williams, the creator of the Wizard of Ads books. Names are sounds before they are printed words, so focus on the sound of the name primarily. Repetitive sounds and rhythmic sounds win in this domain, so use them, specifically alliteration and rhyme and various types of rhythm. So the insight here is not to create a name that looks good or that's logical, but create a name that sounds like something that a mind will remember. And it turns out that repetitive sounds and rhythmic sounds are the ones that really stick inside of the mind. So we're going to focus on the sound of our names, not on the look, not on the logic, not on whether or not they are literally true, which is what most people do. Again, avoid cute or funny names. Spending money is serious business, and most people don't want to laugh when they're doing it. Rarely does a cute or funny name work, so avoid them. If you look at the top companies in the world, the ones that make a lot of money and that dominate their markets, they rarely have cute or funny names. Okay? Rarely are they using wordplay or comedy in the name of their business. And rarely do you see a business who uses wordplay or funniness rise to the top of their niche. So let's avoid these. Now, along with making a name that works for the ear and that sounds good, we want to use names that promise results, benefits, solutions if possible, or at least say what the thing is in some way. Okay? And if we're not going to say it, at least we want an association so that the mind can connect up what the name is with what it is that you're selling. There are exceptions to this. There are names like Xerox and FedEx that at this point have no connection to what they really are. Kodak, other names like this, they never really were connected. FedEx used to be Federal Express, but a lot of people don't know that. They just call it FedEx. If you have enough time and discipline and you pick a word or a combination of words that doesn't have any meaning, you can attach meaning to it. But for now, better to use a name that promises results, benefits, and solutions if possible, or at least says what it is. Now, most people think that a name is something very different from their other marketing. Not so. Use everything you've learned so far to create a name that promises a specific benefit. Okay, so go back to your fears and frustrations and your wants and aspirations. Go back to what your customers are saying and choose words from those lists to consider for your name. And specifically, try to choose words that promise a benefit, promise a solution, promise a result if possible. Okay, so back to some of these concepts around sound. Rhythm makes names much more sticky in the mind. We have a system called the phonological loop that acts as an auditory buffer. When you hear a sound, it goes into your mind and it bounces around in your brain for a little while before it's decided, is this something that I record or is it something that I throw out? This is called the phonological loop. That's what does this. It's about, 5 seconds or so from what I understand. If something keeps bouncing around inside of the phonological loop, it's much more likely to get committed to long-term chemical memory. If it doesn't bounce around, it just goes in one ear and out the other, and we move on to the next thing. If we can use repetitive and rhythmic sounds to keep names bouncing around longer, then they're more likely to be committed to the long-term memory. And we'll talk about examples here in a moment. So do use and include, when you're creating a name, use and include alliteration, which is the same sound at the beginning of two words, rhyme, which is the same sound at the end of two or more words, rhythm, which has some kind of repetitive meter to it, and powerful associations, okay, or connections to what the name is in the first place. So here are a few of my favorite name examples, and we can analyze these to see how they use repetitive sounds and rhythm and associations. One of the most valuable brand names in the world is Coca-Cola. Do you notice the alliteration, the two C's at the beginning? Coca-Cola. And there's even another C in the middle of the first word, Coca-Cola. Do you notice the rhyme at the end? Ka-la, Coca-Cola. And it says what it is. Now, back in the day, there used to be Coca in the cola. And so it was drug cola. Not bad marketing, if you ask me. It's no surprise that Coca-Cola is the dominant cola and has been forever and probably will be forever. It's just got the better name. You can't forget it. It sticks in the mind. Another one that I like is 3-day blinds. Now, this one here, okay, the sound of this one isn't quite perfect. It doesn't have the exact alliteration, but what this name has going for it is that it promises a specific benefit. And it's so powerful, okay, 3-day blinds. It's got a nice rhythm to it, 3-day blinds, and it just kind of rolls off the tongue, that if you need blinds, you remember 3-day blinds because you know that it's fast, and that's what you usually, need with blinds. In fact, I just moved into a new place recently, and big windows, and we needed some blinds. We didn't actually go to 3-day blinds because we had a connection somewhere else, but I'll tell you what, speed was a very important part of the decision-making process. Another one, YouTube. YouTube. And if you've seen the logo, it's a little picture of a television, and tube is what people use to refer to the television. Let's watch the tube. It used to actually literally be a picture tube. Now notice the rhyme here, YouTube. YouTube. It also has a nice little rhythm, YouTube. You know how to say it. Everyone says it the same way. When you hear that repetitive sound, you kind of say, oh, what? What was that? YouTube. Another one, bed, bath, and beyond. Bed, bath, and beyond. Notice the alliteration, B, 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 and notice the rhythm, bed, bath, and beyond. Bed, bath, and beyond. Now, there are many other examples of names out there that use repetitive sounds, promises of benefit, associations, results, etc. Start keeping your eye out for them. Most names are horrible. Most names don't work in business. Most names are not memorable. They don't provide any kind of a promise. They have no rhythm. There's no reason to remember them. Here are a few of the names that I've created for some of my businesses and for some of my products. My first online marketing business was called Double Your Dating. That name took me probably a month or so of work to come up with. Actually, it probably took me a little bit more now that I realize it, now that I think about it. Double Your Dating. Now notice it has the 2 Ds, the alliteration. Double Your Dating. Notice it has a nice rhythm to it. Double Your Dating. It also goes along nicely with the pen name that I created that I write under when I write dating advice, and that name is David D'Angelo. 2 Ds again. And notice how it all goes together. David D'Angelo, Double Your Dating. It has a nice repetitive sound, and it has a nice alliteration. It's got a nice rhythm to it. Very easy to remember. Here's another program that I created on money and wealth. It's called Self-Made Wealth. Okay, now this has a nice balance to it. It's got a nice rhyme, self-made wealth. Nice rhythm, self-made wealth, self-made wealth. Very easy to commit that one to memory, and it's got everything that I would want in the name, all implied in the words. Wealth that you make yourself. Okay, it's self-made wealth. Another name that I created for a time management and productivity program is Wake Up Productive. Wake Up Productive. Now for this one, you have to say it a few times before you really hear the repetitive sounds and the rhythm, but they are in there. Wake Up Productive. Wake Up Productive. And what people want when they go through a time management or productivity program. They want to learn the material, and they want to wake up in the future and automatically be productive. And so that's why I called it Wake Up Productive. And when I introduce it, I say, go through this program, and in 90 days, you will wake up twice as productive as you are right now. You will literally wake up productive. Okay, let's do a quick exercise, designing a powerful name. Designing a powerful name. You should have the exercise that says designing a powerful name at the top. The name that you give your product or service is the highest leverage marketing you can do. Choose, ultimately design, a name that's appealing to the ear, not to the eye, because that's how brains remember. Focus on repetitive sounds, rhythmic syllables, and powerful associations. By the way, notice what it says at the top of this exercise. It says design a powerful name. Design. Consciously architect a powerful name. I mean invest time, effort, and energy to create a great name. First question. What are the words that most specifically and powerfully describe the result, benefit, or solution you provide to your customer? What do they get at the end of the day? Next, ask yourself the question, can you combine words in a way that creates a repetitive sound, either alliteration or rhyme? And then finally, can you combine words in a way that has rhythm that keeps the name bouncing around in the mind for that extra few seconds required to commit it to long-term memory? Okay, so let's do this exercise, and I will see you in the next session of Marketing Step by Step.